Welcome to the Less Stressed Life podcast. This is your host, Krista Bigler, private practice integrative nutritionist, helping people across the U.S. reverse digestive issues, eczema, and autoimmunity via phone and video consult. To learn more, visit lessstressednutrition.com. Now, on to the show. All right, today we have Carolina Vee. So Carolina is really quite an epic speaker. I love her accent. She is a loud and proud Canadian from the glorious prairies of Manitoba. She was made to believe she was a mistake and not wanted in this world. After battling child abuse, sexual assault, mental illness, and self-hate, she now finds herself using her traumas, stories, and experiences to help others feel less alone in theirs and find the light in life. She is a podcaster, clarity coach, and chai tea latte enthusiast. That shows where you came from does not have to dictate where you're going. So her podcast, by the way, real quick, is The Way I See, just the letter C, see it. It is new and awesome, and you should definitely check it out. Welcome, Carolina.
Hey, welcome. A, as I'm taking a sip of a chai tea latte right now. And B, I love that you said that I have an accent because I'm just being surrounded by Canadians. They're like, oh, we sound so boring. Because I have clients in Australia. I have clients in London. I'm just like, you sound so fascinating and I sound so boring. So thanks for saying that.
Yeah, actually, I talked to a podcaster yesterday from Australia, and I mean, it's like this stupid giddiness. You're like, the first thing I say to him, the icebreaker is like, oh, I love your voice. Like,
yeah.
I
know. They honestly probably get it from foreigners all the time. And I remember I was watching a video with, I'm totally blanking on his name now, but he played Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. And I was just like, he's Australian? Like, it was just so bizarre to hear him not speaking in a movie. But anyways, I digress.
Well, actually, and we won't have to digress on this for long, but I am a little bit obsessed with accents to the point where, like, if I go to a country, I am just a sucker. Like, in 5 minutes, I'm emulate. Like, it's I don't know what that's called, but you sort of.
Thank you for saying that. I've been in the serving industry for years, like in the, like working in restaurants and stuff. And I have to consciously like put effort when I'm serving or when I was serving someone with an accent to not mimic them directly. Like it was extra work to not want to reciprocate their accent.
I don't know what it is. I think I'm a chameleon. I don't know. I was in a cab with someone after a conference recently, and she grew up in Peru, and so just the way we're rolling our R's. I know it was the proper way to do it, but I was like, I just want to be like you. It's not even conscious; it's just subconscious that you just do it. Actually, on that same note, we have a German foreign exchange student right now, and I've been pondering. Whatever. The story of this doesn't matter, but I'm pondering, like, I feel like we should get an English exchange student next, because mostly I just want to hear their voice all year long. Like, that would be really fun. So anyway.
And there's so many different dialects, but yeah.
Side note, before we jump into the content today, since you're a chai tea latte enthusiast, I do like a good chai tea latte, but I used to think I hated them because I thought they tasted like liquid French toast. So my question is, are you a bok tea or a spicy chai girl or a classical chai? I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'm very much a classical chai, but I have, because if you actually take chai in Arabic, it just means tea.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Right? So, but for like the stereotypical, like here, like we like that like spicy cinnamon clove classic chai tea latte, which is just like black tea, right? But I also like to put some flavor in it. Like I like it with soy milk because I like the creamy texture of it, and I like to add some vanilla flavor. Like I'm a little bit ridiculous. And every city I go in, and I'm like, okay, I want to hunt down the best local chai tea latte.
Well, if you come to South Dakota, I can help you out with that. If you go see Mount Rushmore, so you're not. I actually don't even think you're that far away. I think you're just straight north, so you're not far at all. I'm a huge fan of the ginger, so I like making. I rarely do it, but sometimes I'll make like a big old batch of a bok tea chai, the infusion, just so you can have it iced or hot. So side notes, don't need to get into a foodie side note, but I just like talking about food, and there's a lot of people who listen to this that like food as well, so I don't feel too bad. So
Yeah, you have to talk to your people.
All right, so here's the scoop. You speak with a lot of authority and you drop a lot of truth bombs. But let's talk about how do you start? How do you come from suckiness, right? Like your childhood was rough, sort of,
Yeah.
right? That's what your bio says, right? Things were rough. How do you make it so that does not define you? Let's talk about who you are. Just launch into it for us.
Yeah, so it's such an interesting question, and I legitimately wish that I could put it into like one simple phrase or one little course or one little nugget of magic to just like throw that at people so that they could really comprehend it. But it takes a lot of self-work and it takes a lot of self-awareness to get to that point. So I used to consider myself a monster, and I'm not being dramatic by using that term. I legitimately hated myself so much because I was groomed to hate myself. I was brought into this world by a mother who was battling her own demons, her own mental illness, had me at way too young of an age, and then used me as a punching bag for not achieving what she wanted to from her life. I was almost like the scapegoat for her to put all of the blame for not making her life her own. And so, people always say you can take inspiration from people in two different ways. So you can look at your parents and you can either mimic them if you had really great parents, or like my situation, you can look at your parents and you can say, okay, what am I going to learn from this and not do in my adult life? What am I going to take from these experiences and not do if and when I decide to have my own children? And so I was so fortunate enough for myself, and this kind of goes back to the beginning of my explanation, is like I wish I had this secret formula that I could just give to people to really help them out. And that's what I'm trying to do with my business, is try to create this program to get people to that point. But I believed in myself so fiercely enough for myself and for other people, because I didn't have anybody else really believing in me growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I moved out when I was 16 years old, because I had to for my own well-being, my own mental health, my own physical safety. I remember teachers looking at me and almost like shaking their head and saying, what a pity, she had so much promise. And so I looked right back at them and I said, do not past tense me. I still have so much promise. I will not be another generic statistic, a high school dropout, none of this, none of this, none of this. My life is my own, and I am the dictator. I am the writer. I decide who, what, when, why. And that's how you move forward. And it's hard. It takes a lot of work, but it's so, so, so worth it.
If I had to ask you the steps to do this, I just heard the first one, and this is the most important one, I think. Maybe you have different thoughts, is I take my own responsibility for my own life. Maybe
100%. Because going back to me thinking that I was a monster and really hating myself, it's because I was almost doing the same thing my mother was doing to me. I was using my circumstances, I was using my experiences, my traumas, my pain, my hardship to justify the way I was treating other people.
Right.
And then finally, I had to open my eyes, wake up, and here's where that self-awareness comes in. And self-awareness is a skill. Common sense is a skill. These are things you have to work for. You have to adapt to. Some people are very fortunate to have, innately these skills, but it's similar to like learning the piano. Some people are musically gifted, but they still have to fine tune that. Other people aren't as musically gifted, but that doesn't mean that they can never learn to play the piano. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So tell me how you can hone these skills. Like, let's say I'm listening to this and either I need it or I've got a friend or a relative or something that needs to hear, like they need to hone these skills. How do you help someone start, or how do you start yourself is probably the better ask.
I think really documenting yourself. I'm a really big documenter. I'm a huge advocate for planning and lists, and I have notebooks for everything. So really just paying attention to the way you react to things and just documenting your day. So like I have a miracle morning routine where I start the day off with some yoga, I start the day off with some meditation, I journal 3 things that I'm grateful for, 3 things that I would love to see from the day. I create a daily affirmation for myself to kind of get me through that day, to repeat to myself. And then in the evening, I write 3 things that made today awesome. I thank the universe for 3 things. And then I write 1 thing that could have made that day better. And so that's what I do now. But before, like I had to really, if I was reacting to something, I had to instantly stop and ask myself, why are you reacting this way? Mm-hmm. Is it this person that is making you feel this way, or is this something that you are personally dealing with? And here's the thing with awareness, be it cultural awareness, political awareness, self-awareness, any type of awareness, once you are aware of something, it is really hard to turn a blind eye. It is really hard to no longer be aware of it, to no longer see it. And the easiest or the most common, I guess, example I can give to people is, when you get a new car and now you start seeing that car everywhere on the road and you're like, wow, a lot of people have this car, but you never noticed it before. But now that you yourself have this car, you're more aware of the car's existence. And so now you're seeing it everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's the same with,
It's like learning a word. That's how I
Exactly.
feel.
Exactly. And so it's the same thing with your emotions. Like once you start paying attention to, why am I feeling this way? Why am I reacting? What happened today? What is triggering this? What has happened in my past? And here's the thing a lot of people don't realize is a lot of our beliefs, a lot of the way we handle certain situations are actually created when we're children, when our brains are largely functioning in theta state. And what that means is, as a child, and this is why children are able to learn things so quickly, so fast. I just watched a video of this little 4-year-old Russian girl who fluently speaks 7 languages. Right?
Yeah, amazing.
It's amazing.
Behind our comprehension.
Absolutely. But it's because children's brains are functioning in this theta state, which essentially means their brains are like sponges. So they just absorb everything in their environment, from tones to emotions to thoughts, words, everything, they absorb it. So if it's a lot of positive, then these people tend to go on and have really positive experiences in their lives. But the children who are groomed and raised in really negative situations, or hear negative aspects of money, hear negative aspects of love, constantly hear fighting and bickering, those are the beliefs that get programmed into their brains. And then they don't realize that when they become adults and they're like, why am I acting this way? Why am I behaving this way? They don't even realize that they have these blocks, these limiting beliefs, these subconscious limiting beliefs that they need to work through.
If you've always had something, how could you know it's unusual? So
exactly.
This is why it's so important to have someone hopefully help you with your own awareness, because you cannot always be aware on your own. And I'll use myself as an example. When you grow up a certain way, you don't know any different. So when maybe if you marry someone and they point out this could go right or wrong. I mean, they point out some of your limitations, or they point out you're like this or this of your parent, or XYZ. It's really, I remember it hasn't been that long since my husband pointed out some things, and I thought, okay, let me just give you like a really benign example. I didn't even realize I had short legs. Like I just always had short legs. Like I didn't even think about it. I have a long torso and short legs. And then I started realizing like everyone in my family has short legs. I'm like, I just never occurred to me. Really benign examples, but it's like that, so first, the most important thing is for us to turn that awareness on in our own self. But I think sometimes as people, unfortunately, our situation is dealing with a difficult person, and so, or something that's bothering us. So what recommendations do you have if you need to turn that awareness on in someone that you love? Or is there even an option? I mean, because really we can't change other people, right? But do you have thoughts on how do you fix something when it's not just your issue? Or do you think it is just your issue?
I don't think it's just your issue. I think first and foremost, you need a lot of compassion in this world and in this life. But I don't want people to listen to this and confuse compassion with allowing yourself to be walked all over. So, for example, I haven't spoken to my mother in 6 years now because having her in my life, no matter how much I wanted to have her, was so detrimental to my well-being and to my mental health that I couldn't fathom keeping a relationship with her in my life because it was just too painful. And I realized that the only reason why I kept fighting and wanting this relationship was because I wanted this relationship to be something that it wasn't. I wanted the mother to brush my hair back when I was having a really bad day. I wanted the mother that I could go to crying and would tell me that I was going to make it through, that I was wonderful, that I was a gift to the world. I wanted a mother that was going to lift me up, that would be there for me no matter what. But unfortunately, my situation is my mother is not that person. And I had to come to that realization. I had to come to that reality. And I unfortunately had to make the very difficult decision to cut her out of my life. Now, this is not me saying anytime you don't agree with someone, cut them out of your life, because you're gonna end up very, very lonely. I can tell you that right now because I've been there. I've 100% done that in the past. I have been that person. But this is where compassion comes in, right? And so when you're able to be compassionate, when you're able to be sympathetic and empathetic and see where another person is coming from, it allows you to be a lot more forgiving and a lot more understanding and able to realize that everyone is going through stuff. So I know you might think your problems are the be all and end all and no one has it worse than you. But everyone feels that way for something, you know, not everything, not all the time, but everyone always thinks they are the worst at something or they have it the worst in some situation. So if we just take a step back and realize that we are a collective on this earth, on this planet, in this universe, because who knows what other living creatures are out there, right? We are a collective. And when one person's vibrations are vibrating really high and one person's vibrations are vibrating really low, it takes compassion for you to understand, why is this person vibrating really low? Why are they trying to bring me down? And then this is another thing that self-awareness is really key, because when you're self-aware about something, and meditation really helps with this, and we can get into that after if you want, but the way that self-awareness is really key in this is when you see someone else behaving a certain way, you can think, okay, is this me causing this reaction, or are they going through something that I might not know about? Because here's the thing. Everyone you pass on the street is living their own story, has their own experiences, has their own traumas, and it's not up to us to decide how well they have it off or how worse they have it off.
So each situation is unique. You don't need to cut everyone out unless it's a toxic relationship. However, if there is something that is bothering you, start with compassion, but also don't be walked over and put your foot down if needed. Is that sort of what I hear?
Absolutely. And communication. I think something that people really admire about me is that I'm able to be really honest with people. And when something is bothering me about someone, I'm like, hey, you did this and it bothered me. It hurt my feelings. And some people don't like that. I've had a lot of friendships end because of that reason, because people don't like having that pointed out to them. People don't like having pointed out that you caused someone else pain, you caused someone else hurt, you hurt someone else's feelings. A lot of people don't like to be met with that confrontation. But again, it's how you look at it. You can look at it as me being confrontational, but I'm not doing it in a malicious intent. How do you build houses with a really strong foundation? How do you build friendships with a really strong foundation? Really strong friendships aren't categorized as strong because of how many wonderful memories you have together. Yes, that definitely adds to it, but strength is created and fosters in the difficult situations that you work through together. When were you teammates? When were you disagreeing with something and then you worked as a team for the collective of your friendship to better it in the future and make it stronger?
This
Just
is
like working out.
this is the answer to everything. Communication. Like all
100%.
all the time, I think every single time like something goes crazy or wrong or whatever, I sort of am a little bit of a psychoanalyzer where I unravel things. Just like, I wonder where that started. Oh, it's communication. Oh, that was communication. Oh, everything is communication, right? So it's like, that was this awareness, this aha moment I had a long time ago. But if we would just improve the communication of how we are, you start with yourself. This is where you can go back and start with yourself.
Yeah.
Your own internal communication needs to be on point, right? You need to have positive internal communication. That's a first stepping point, right? If your internal communication, if you've been run down, is really terrible, that's a first stepping point. And then you can hone that skill of how to communicate with others with compassion, so that way you can convey your point eloquently and appropriately.
It's just like when you work out, like when you work out, you are physically ripping your muscles to make them stronger.
Absolutely.
And this is what, that's a really aggressive way to put it. But when you're having these difficult conversations with people, you are ripping these conversations, you are ripping these relationships to make them stronger, to make them more comfortable. And another note I want to kind of just slide in here as well. For my mother, our very last conversation, I said, listen, I can no longer have you in my life. I love you and I forgive you for everything that you had done to me and everything that you put me through, but I can no longer have you in my life. And she, scoffed at me, laughed at me, and whatever. But I had done my piece in setting myself free. And so if it gets to that point where you do have to cut someone out of your life, you can still forgive someone and not have them in your life. And forgiveness has very little to do with the other person. Forgiveness has to do with you and setting yourself free and recognizing you did in your power what you needed to. And maybe you didn't get the outcome you were hoping for, but you did what you had to and you are free from it.
Yeah, not everything ends like a movie. Thank you so much for saying that and telling us how you sort of closed that, like had peace with that, because I had something similar, where I had this family member who was being bizarre to me, where it was bothering me, and it was really aggravating that it was bothering me, because I felt like I was at pretty darn good peace with most everything else. Like I wasn't letting things bother me, and it bothered me so much until I went and let it go and like said, I'm giving this back to you. I don't know what's going on, but like I'm not going to carry this around anymore, basically, in different words. And I've felt essentially free since then, and it was, I'm disappointed at how long I carried it around. And most people carry these deep things around. I saw this on TV the other day where someone said, I used to bury my emotions so deep that I think it started to affect my health. At first it started with a stomach ache all the time, and now it aches in my bones. And I was just I was bottling things up to my bones. And I'm like, oh, that's such a good way to say it, because that our emotions totally affect our overall well-being and physical health as well.
Oh, 100%. I'm a very, spiritual person and connected person. And I had I'm not a sciencey person whatsoever. Give me numbers for days. Like I can deal with math and all of that, but I'm not a sciencey person. But I learned a few months ago that your stomach has the second largest amount of neurons next to your brain in your body. So your stomach essentially functions as a second brain in your body. So when you get those gut feelings, it's not just a saying, it's not just an idiom or however you want to look at it. It is an actual physical reaction. Your stomach is physically trying to tell you something. And this kind of ties in with nutrition and the saying, you are what you eat. You physically are what you eat. What you put into your stomach, what your stomach is sensing about the nutrients you're putting in your body manifests in the rest of your physical body. And I had a friend who got cancer when she was a teenager after her father had died from cancer. And she herself has said, I firmly believe that I manifested cancer in my body because she had it in her entire chest cavity because of a broken heart. She refused to deal with the emotions of losing her father, of being so angry that this disease had taken her father, that she manifested this disease in herself because she wasn't dealing with it.
I've had other people with cancer tell me similar things, actually.
Yep.
So I'm not surprised at that comment or sentiment at all. In fact, With the gut-brain connection, so that's really speaking my language. We used to think that it went from the brain to the gut, but now we know that it goes from the gut to the brain. So something I see, I work with a lot of gut issues, and so something we see, unfortunately, as a side effect of that is a lot of anxiety and depression and things like that. And so you're exactly right. Like if you don't deal with the emotions, you are not doing someone the full service or the like you're not dealing with the full picture, basically.
And your body is going to force you to deal with the situation. You are going to manifest these problems because at the end of the day, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so when we are not listening to our spiritual selves, when we are not dealing with our mental issues, our emotional issues, then our physical bodies are like, hey, wake up, we have work to do.
You essentially defined autoimmune conditions in a different way right there, because stress is always a root factor. I always see like a really prolific stressor at some point in life. So we were talking about communication overall. And so I'd like to talk about internal communication, because some of us can't handle silence. I have struggled. Actually, meditation has been elusive to the point where I've been chasing it for a while. And you talked about the Miracle Morning. Love the Miracle Morning. Started my 2018 with the Miracle Morning. So I want to talk about that a little bit too, but let's just start with meditation. How does someone start with meditation? Because, we have preconceived notions that it's weird, or we don't want to sit still, or we don't want to do it, or whatever. So tell us about the benefits of meditation, and then tell us, how do you start and how do you succeed with it?
I literally just got like tingles, because this is something I could talk about forever, and it's something that I actually take my clients through my coaching program, and I have an entire like course dedicated to explaining meditation. So I'm going to give you a quick Cliff Notes version, and it's actually quite sciencey. Cool. Which, here's the thing, like science and magic go hand in hand together. I don't know when these two became separate, but I digress. So meditation, first tip, just start to be mindful. A lot of people look at meditation and they're like, oh, like I can't be a monk. I can't sit there for 15 hours, yada, yada, yada. You have to start everything with a beginner's mind. And there's this old Japanese fairy tale or story or proverb, whatever you want to call it, in which this professor went to go see, this Japanese master, and this Japanese master is pouring him a cup of tea. And this Japanese master keeps pouring the tea till eventually the tea starts overflowing the cup. And the professor is looking at this cup, and finally he can't handle it anymore. And he's like, "Sir, you're overflowing the cup." And the Japanese master says, "Exactly." He's like, your mind is this cup, and how can I give you any new information when it's already full of everything you already currently believe? And so what this goes to say is you need to enter everything with an empty cup, with an open mind.
Such an interesting way to say it. Okay.
And so my first tip would be to just start being more mindful. This is something that everybody struggles with right now, is we're always thinking about the next thing, the future moment, the past moment. People really struggle with the present moment, which is why meditation makes people so uncomfortable, because meditation is very much strictly focusing on the present moment right now. And so when I say start being mindful, when you're washing your hands, think about how the water feels on your hands. Don't think about, okay, after, I'm washing my hands, I have this meeting at 3 and then I need to prepare this project for Thursday and blah, blah, blah. Take a minute. When you're spraying perfume on your body, what does the perfume feel like on your skin? What does it smell like? So it's taking your senses. This is what I mean by being mindful. It's taking your senses and being aware of your surroundings. What do you hear? When you go for a walk, what do you hear outside? What are you listening to? So that's kind of my first tip in meditation. And then start really small. Start with 30 seconds. Start in a comfortable position. If you can't sit in a lotus position, I know some people have hip problems or knee problems or anything. Like if you can't sit cross-legged, sit in a comfortable chair with your feet planted on the ground, and start with just 30 seconds. And always make sure that you set a timer, because there's nothing worse than trying to meditate and then opening your left eye and being like, how long has it been? Because you're not in the present moment, right? Set a timer, put it beside you, and then forget about it. It'll go off when the time has come. So start with 30 seconds, move on to 45 seconds, move on to a minute, and then eventually start going to 5, 10, 15 minutes. But everybody starts for like 2 minutes and they're like, oh, I suck at this. Like I can't think, like I can't stop thinking. This is what I used to tell myself all the time. I can't turn my brain off. I can't meditate. It doesn't work for me. Meditation is for everyone. The thing is, meditation's not about turning your brain off. It's just about being aware. It's just embracing the present moment. And so what I do when I'm meditating, I let a thought come and I let it go without any judgment. I'm not going to go, oh, I had this thought and I'm not meditating. You know, as soon as you have that thought, you've already pulled yourself out of it. You've already set yourself up to lose. So just envision this thought passing by you like a leaf on a mountain stream. It just comes and it goes, and that's it. And then if another thought comes, then it comes and it goes, and you just let it go. It's just about being in the present moment. It's not wallowing. It's not overthinking. It's just, oh, I had this thought and there it goes. And now I'm focusing on my breathing. In, out. Oh, I should go to Superstore later. And that thought goes by. Breathe in, breathe out. That's it. Now the actual benefits of meditation and how it can actually help alleviate anxiety and depression is, so you have these parts in your brain. I don't know the sciencey parts of them, but it's called like the me center, and then you have like your fear center and all of this. And so a lot of people, they have this connection that is really strong in their brain that they relate everything that happens to them. So anytime something negative happens, they relate it to them. And then that causes all of this anxiety. But when you start to meditate, you start to strengthen another part of your brain. And this part of your brain strengthens empathy, strengthens self-awareness. So when something bad happens, you have that stronger muscle in your brain to stop and think, okay, is this situation actually me or is it something else? And it allows you to actually create that empathy for other people and look at situations and recognize that it isn't about you. And this is why scientifically, meditation has been proven to create calmer people. But it's a daily practice. It's a constant exercise. Let's say you're going to the gym. You know, if you stop going to the gym, you're going to lose your muscles. It's the same thing with meditation. It's a constant daily practice that you have to do, that you have to get into and continue with it to keep that new neurological pathway strong. Does that make sense?
That is the best freaking explanation and start and primer on meditation I've ever heard. In fact, I feel like on, however your meditation course is sold or whatever, which I have to get it. So however it's sold on the front homepage, it could say, I suck at meditation, or I can't do it. Or, because I literally just heard someone say that earlier this week when we were kind of talking about, a couple of us are more open to meditation and like, okay, it's good. And then the next person's like, my head's too busy. I can't do that. I'm like, duh, we all freaking did. That's like saying you were too busy. That is like never an excuse. Like it's just like, yep. I can't hone this skill yet. I don't know how. I need some help. So that's beautiful. I flipping love it. So I'm going to reiterate, enter with an empty cup, embracing the senses. That's really cool. Start very small. So that is a beautiful tip for no matter what. I mean, honestly, you can apply these same steps to, honestly, in life in general. And that's probably why this is so useful, because you can apply it to anywhere in life. So start small, right? Every time we start something too big, we fail at it immediately. And then we beat ourselves up like you were supposed to climb the mountain before you could climb the stairs. Like start with where you are. So start small and then let a thought come and go without judgment. And that's such a beautiful thing, because we're so used to judging others and ourselves. And that's what society is. It's full of judgment. So letting go of judgment is empowerment, truly. So thank you so much for reviewing that. Part of something I was thinking as you were talking is like, I want to work on this for myself. And then I have a very strong-willed child. And I'm thinking maybe you should do an iteration for meditation for young people. Children, it's probably exactly the same, but excellent. Okay, so that was beautiful. Let's talk about Miracle Morning stuff. So Miracle Morning, you can give us the quick savers, and we've actually done a whole podcast on the Miracle Morning. It was one of the first episodes like a year or two ago. But one of the things that I assign to clients sometimes is do some positive affirmations, but maybe I don't give them enough guidance around it. You say you create a new positive affirmation every day. So let's talk about affirmations, where you get affirmations and that whole thing.
Okay. So I'm a very intuitive person. So, and I'm very connected to the universe. And every morning I pull an oracle card to tell me, what message do I need to hear from the universe today? And then I create an affirmation out of that. However, if you don't, everyone is connected to the universe, first and foremost. This does not make me special. This just makes me someone who has practiced and really opened myself up and has become very aware of my connection to the universe. We are all connected to the universe. We are all spiritual beings. We are all magical, right? Mm-hmm. And so if anybody is telling you, like they are a psychic and a fortune teller and they can tell you your fortune, they are full of hooey. Do not trust them. Do not give them your money because everyone is connected to the universe. So that's my first kind of there. Mm-hmm. So in terms of savers, so I do my miracle morning in a different order than savers. So I first start with the exercise because I need to get my body moving and I need to get that energy going. In terms of affirmations, so I kind of explained, like I pull an oracle card, which is a message that I need to hear from the universe for that day, and then I create an affirmation, and then I write it in my journal. If you are someone who is maybe not as comfortable connecting to the universe or isn't comfortable pulling an oracle card or isn't comfortable with oracle cards in general because they, for whatever reason, go against your religion or something like that, I absolutely want to respect that. So what I want you to do is write down negative thoughts you think that you have. So something like making money is hard. And then I want you on the second half of that piece of paper, after you've written these down, I want you to go through and I want you to write that negative, it's called a limiting belief. I want you to take that negative limiting belief and transfer it into something positive. So for an example, making money is hard. The new affirmation is making money is fun. Do you see how that kind of shifts there?
You bet. I was giving the intentional silence as I was taking notes. So perfect.
Yeah. And then what I want you to do is I want you to rip that piece of paper in half and I want you to burn those limiting beliefs. Everything negative that you say. And I've physically done this myself. And I can even pull out my my list of new affirmations here. And I will give you some examples of what I have worked on. So one of my previous limiting beliefs was that I am a joke. I thought when I started my business, when I started the podcast, when I started doing all of this, people were going to look at me like I was a joke. What do I know about giving guidance to people's lives? I grew up in government assistance with a mother who never wanted me. It made me feel like a mistake. Like, what are people going to see in me? And I transferred I am a joke to I am an inspiration. And the other day, that was one of my daily affirmations. I said, okay, today I'm an inspiration. And on Instagram, someone I haven't spoken to in probably 8 or 9 years, didn't even know she was following me on Instagram, to be completely honest, messaged me, responded to one of my Instagram stories, and she said, hey, I know this is really vague, but I just wanted to let you know, like, you inspire me daily. Mm. And I was like, holy crap. Mm-hmm. Further confirmation of how I am connected to the universe.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. And so, yeah, so like that would be my number one piece of advice, is because so many times people, and I've actually had a few colleagues of mine ask me to create little cards of affirmations, like money affirmations, love affirmations, success affirmations. So I'm probably going to work on that over the holidays and have that up and ready to go for people in the new year. Because it is hard. Some people really struggle with creating affirmations. But what makes affirmations really powerful is when they're designed for you. Mm-hmm. And when it's something that you really need.
I am literally obsessed with this exercise you just shared. I am obsessed. Like, this is the best thing I've heard of since
sliced bread.
Exactly. I was trying to think of something a little bit cooler than sliced bread, but yeah, no, that is the best thing I've heard of. I can do this. I can start this today now because I don't feel like I have to go find something. And I have to tell you, yesterday, I started my day, and so this has a purpose, right? This story. Yesterday, my day started without a bang, right? I woke up reacting to the world instead of owning the world, right? I think that's what the Miracle Morning, he talks about a lot. You don't wake up and react, because then everything becomes just a chain reaction, and you're
Create before you consume.
Exactly. So, sometimes when you have children and whatnot, and things are reactional, and that was yesterday. And so I kind of woke up a little grouchy, and I was kind of grouchy that I was working on my day off and whatever. It doesn't matter. But I basically I couldn't even do my Miracle Morning stuff. I was in the sauna. I just turned on music from 20 years ago and jammed out. And my point is, we're not perfect beings, right? And so it's easy to say cool, I've got this morning routine, and it's just starting something, and then you don't do it. So how do you get back on the horse when you've gotten off the horse? Because I'm pretty open about not being perfect. People will ask me oh, what routines do you have for blah, blah, blah? I'm oh, here's my ideal routine. Do I do it all the time? No. I literally need to stop and slap myself sometimes and say, hey, time to do the routine again, because it really, really helps and makes your life awesome. So what are your thoughts on that? People, it's so easy to fall away from something we want to do, right?
Yeah, I was actually because I myself have a coach, because yes, even coaches need coaches. And I was talking to her yesterday. Was yesterday Friday? Yeah, yesterday. No, today's Friday. I'm a week ahead. I'm a day ahead this week. It's so bizarre. So I was talking to her yesterday, and I said, I am a come hell or high water type of person. If I tell someone I am going to be somewhere, I am going to do something, come hell or high water, I am going to do it. Everyone knows that I am one of the most reliable people you will ever meet. I have to legitimately be on my deathbed in order for me to not follow through on something I commit to for everyone else. And I started to come to this realization that I was I break promises to myself all the time that I would never imagine breaking for other people. So why am I so much more willing and adamant about being there for everyone else and not myself? And so I thought that was really interesting, and something to give everyone to think about. What type of person are you? Are you a similar type of person where you will show up for everyone come anything? So why aren't you showing up for yourself? Absolutely. And my second point is every day, every single day is a new day. It doesn't matter that you didn't do your routine yesterday. Today is a new day for you to start. Every single day is a new day. And the third part is, this is where self-awareness also comes in. I didn't do my Miracle Morning routine last Saturday, and my day suffered from it. Oh my God. By the end of the evening, I was an emotional wreck, an emotional wreck. I picked the most ridiculous argument with my partner. And when I got home, I started crying because of that, because I was what's happening? Why do I feel so out of sorts? And it's because I didn't start my day with intention. I didn't start it with that routine. And so that's where self-awareness comes in. And so did I continue to beat myself up that I didn't do my Miracle Morning routine on Saturday? No, I used that as inspiration to motivate me the next day, because the next day was a fresh start, a fresh day, a new beginning, and a new opportunity for me to recommit myself to starting the day with intention and doing my Miracle Morning routine. And here's the thing. Every day you have choices. And I say this to my partner every day. I'm every day we have to choose each other. It's not, people are always asking what's the key to success? What's the key to a happy relationship? How are you guys so cute? Yada, yada, yada. And I say, because every day is a choice. You can't take that choice for granted. You can't say, oh, I chose you yesterday, I don't feel like choosing you today, et cetera, et cetera. Every day is a choice. You have to wake up. I am choosing to do my Miracle Morning. I am choosing to love and be compassionate with my partner. I am choosing to be open and optimistic and welcoming from the universe. Every single day is a fresh start, and every single day is the opportunity for you to make new choices.
I love it. Preach. You just hit it home. So I wanted to mention something. You said coaches need coaches. My mom's, one of my mom's good friends who's a therapist used to say, like, never trust a therapist without a therapist. And I think that is, I think that can be really spot on. So man, thank you so much for the work you do to change the world. It is literally one piece at a time. I love this platform. So I will love to send this episode to every single person I will send it to everyone on my email list, but every single person in my telephone, like, you go listen to this episode right now, because there is something in here you can take and use to change your own life, which will in turn change and make the world a better place. And we're all called to have that responsibility to make the world a better place. So Carolina, the one question everyone gets on the podcast is, what's your gut feeling? If someone listened to this and they're like, oh my gosh, like, where do I start? Because there's so many good places to start. Like, tell someone, what's the piece of advice you'd want to leave someone with today, basically?
It's so cliche, but like, just start. Everyone says it, and yet this message continuously needs to be repeated because people aren't doing it. So, and here's the thing, everything that I say, if something resonated with you, it's because you already know it. I'm not saying anything new. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just saying it in a way that resonates with you and makes that little part in your brain go, oh, this is something that I know. This resonated with me. And if that happened to any point on you today, start with that. And like I said, I'm a huge advocate for lists. So write a list down, pick one thing that you're going to accomplish this week, whether it's writing your new affirmations, whether it's starting to be mindful of, the water on your hands. Pick one thing that you're going to do this week and scratch that off your list. And then the next week, pick something else. But you just have to take steps. And my overall arching message to everyone is, where you came from does not have to dictate where you are going. I grew up in government assistance with a mother who never wanted me, who told me that I was a mistake continuously, who would throw me into the stairs and push me into the laundry machine and made me feel like I was scum of the earth. And I am here living a miraculous, magical, positive, love-filled, gratitude-filled, chai tea latte-filled life because I dictated where my life was going, not anybody else. And you can do it too. I am not special in this sense.
So where can people find you online, Carolina?
So I love Instagram. It is like my be all and end all platform. So I am at Miss Lina V, MISSLINAVEE, or you can come to my website, www.11-11illuminations.com. And you can see on my website there, I am offering everyone a free one-on-one 45-minute discovery call. So if you loved anything that I said on this podcast episode here and you want a little bit more clarity and targeted for your personal life, hop on a discovery call with me, 45 minutes, completely free, and we'll see if we can get you some more clarity in your life.
Yeah. And so we'll put that in the show notes. It's 11-11illuminations.com/discovery. Can you just decode what 11-11 is for us?
Absolutely. So like I said, I'm a very spiritual being. And when I was going through one of the hardest parts of my life where I legitimately considered myself a monster and capable of being loved, I started to think, okay, something needs to give here. And as soon as I started to kind of get back to who I was, as soon as I started to really embrace who I was and not who somebody else told me I was, I started to see 11-11 everywhere. And to say the short story of it, 11-11. So when you see a set of repetitive numbers, it means that God's messenger angels or the universe or energy or whatever it is that you believe in is trying to send you a message. And 11-11 means on the right path. So I got it tattooed on my left inner bicep to always remind me to stay true to who I was, to dictate who I am, and to not let anybody else's influences or stories or opinions change how and who I am and how I react to things. And so I named my business 1111 Illuminations because I want to do that for other people. I want to show other people their right path, not my right path, their right path, because everyone has their own path that sits right for them. And this is, I want to help spiritual millennial women break free from these societal expectations of what we're supposed to do. You write your own story. You are your own author. And so 1111 Illuminations, I want to help you find your right path and illuminate it. I want to help you light it up. Because as soon as you light up your path, you're going to help light up the world. And as soon as one candle is lit, then another candle is lit, and another candle is lit. And the next thing you know, everybody is lit up. And this is what I want so desperately for the world, is for everyone to feel alive and to feel lit up.
I wish I could throw you like a giant fist pump and like I want to, I have no problem with cussing, but I want to make this child friendly so everyone can listen to it. So I'd love to just, I want to emphatically say thank you so much. Like that was awesome. That was very baller. So everything you said was excellent. I can't wait to hear this again and to take from it. And I can't wait to apply some of these exercises. It's absolutely an honor to have you. And we hope we have you back for an encore again.
I would love that. Thank you so much, Krista. I really, really appreciate it. Positive outcomes only, everyone.
One of the best gifts you could give us at the Less Stress Life is your feedback. We are paid in podcast reviews. If you enjoyed this or any other episode, please leave us a review. In the iTunes store or from your podcast app, just search for Less Stress Life as if you're not already subscribed. Click on the banana face image, scroll to the bottom where it shows the text of other reviews, and write a review. While you're there, hey, make sure you hit subscribe. For Android or Stitcher users, you gotta go to the desktop site and search for Less Stress Life, and then scroll down to leave a review. Stitcher doesn't load Apple reviews on their site, so if you want, you can leave a review in both places. Your feedback means a lot to the success of the show. Thanks so much for taking the time to do that. You rock.